Welcome back. I hope you had a great observation session with your end user. In this episode, we're going to debrief your session and try to find opportunities for innovation. More coming up. Now, you've been through this process plenty of times before. Our goal is to categorize all of your observations so that we can identify a genuine problem and make a meaningful impact on the way your end user goes about their business. So let's get started. By now you know that we kick this process off by putting our observations on individual post-it notes. Remember that it's helpful to include information that explains what you saw your end user doing, how they did it, and why they did it that way. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can do that now, and feel free to spread out. Now, we're going to categorize the post-its based on general themes. When we do this step, it's best to be specific. Try to avoid categories such as challenges, since they don't really tell us that much. If I'm looking at grocery shopping, for example, it wouldn't be helpful for me to have a category like finding items. It's too vague, and it would probably be more helpful for me to narrow it down. Something like navigating the store or finding items once I'm in the aisle would be more appropriate categories. They're more specific and will allow me to define a unique challenge for each category instead of having 2 or 3 for one vague one. Go ahead and pause the video again so you can group all of your observations. Okay, so next, we need to come up with headlines for each category so that we can clearly summarize the main idea or need. A headline for your categories works like a headline in the newspaper, a clear summary of the main idea or point. For example, I might have a headline that says, "Crowded aisles and clunky carts make it difficult to navigate the store." It's a clear summary of what I might find in a navigating the store category. Pause this and try it out with your categories. Now, before we craft our how might I statements, we need to make sure that we're fulfilling a genuine need for our end user. To do this, we'll craft our persona statements. This actually does 2 things for us. Number 1, it helps make sure our solution matches an end user's need. And number 2, it also helps us explain the inspiration for our ideas, which is a requirement for the patent application process. So to do that, we're going to follow our formula from iDesign. You need to have your end user plus a need plus an interesting insight. That creates our persona statement. So for example, if I were at the grocery store and I were the user, the end user for my example, my persona could be a busy professional, needs to shop quickly and efficiently, but wastes unnecessary time navigating stores and checking out. This clearly communicates my needs and helps the designer determine if the how might I statement actually addresses them. Go ahead and craft your end user statement persona now. Finally, for this part of the process, we need to select 1 or 2 challenges that you think are the most relevant to the overall end user experience and craft a high quality, how might I statement that you will work on throughout the course of the semester. Remember that your statement should allow for divergent thinking and not suggest an answer. If I were to use, how might I create a cart that has wheels to turn 180 degrees, I've already suggested the answer, add wheels that go 180 degrees. This is going to restrict my brainstorming to different kinds of wheels rather than looking at original solutions to navigating the stores. Instead, a more effective question would be, how might I create a cart that allows shoppers to better navigate crowded aisles? This is kind of like a thesis. In the statement, I define what aspect of shopping I'm looking at, navigating crowded aisles, and what I'd like to do, remake the cart. Try crafting a how might I statement and call me over when you think you got one. Okay, so now that we've figured out our how might I statements, we need to record all of this in your innovator's log. I recommend you take a picture of everything as physical evidence, and in case you ever need to revisit this stage, you'll have all your details. Then you'll go ahead and turn to the observations and categories defined page of your log, which follows your empathy notes. Don't forget to add it to your table of contents. On this page, you're going to list all the categories that you saw with their headlines next to them. See my example in Classroom if you want to see a way that you can lay it out. After that, you'll enter your user persona and then your how might I statement, also known as a problem of practice. Mine all fits on one page, but don't feel like yours has to. Feel free to use 2 or more pages if needed. This log is meant to be fluid to fit your project's specific needs. Once you're done with that, update your table of contents and move on to the journey map video.